Order, honorable members. Can we have order, please? Honorable delegates, before we continue, let me remind you that the rules that apply is the rules and the processes for a hybrid sitting. I want to make the following announcements: that all delegates that are physically in the chamber must connect to the virtual platform as well as insert their cards to register on the chamber system. Switch off the sound on all gadgets and ensure that the microphones on the gadgets are muted and remain muted at all times. Use the floor microphones and wear the mask at all times. Seats are marked for a purpose, so occupy that seat. And at all times, try to maintain social distancing from one another. If you speak, those that are on the virtual platform, please switch on your videos. Any delegates who wishes to speak must use the raise hand function. We will make sure that we get notified when your hand have been raised. And there is allowance for participation in the discussion through the chat room, but not just for some remarks and things, but for meaningful participation. We have been informed that there will be no notices of motion or motions without notice in terms of Council Rule 247. Before we proceed to the questions, let me take this opportunity to welcome the Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa. And let me also welcome all honorable delegates, special as well as permanent delegates, to the sitting. And I would like to make the following remarks before we continue. The time for reply by the Deputy President to a question is 5 minutes. Only 4 supplementary questions are allowed per question. And a member who has asked the initial question would be the first to be afforded an opportunity to ask a supplementary question. Supplementary questions, 2 minutes. The time for reply to a supplementary question is 4 minutes, and the question must emanate from the initial question. And I just want to mention that there will be some few amendments to the list of people that will be responsible for questions and follow-up questions. That will be announced in due course. So if the Deputy President is ready and connected, we will now call on the Honorable Deputy President to respond to question number 19, as asked by the Honorable S.J. Mohai. Honorable Deputy President, over to you. The Deputy President have earlier indicated that he will join virtually.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chair. Am I audible?
Yes, indeed you are.
Thank you very much. Deputy Chair, let me start by expressing our sincere gratitude to the millions of our people that voted in the recently held local government elections. We note with humility their continued faith in the democratic project of building the country and their unwavering hope to promote to the promise of a better life that we all aspire to realize. With their vote, Deputy Chair, a social contract to work with their freely elected representatives in order to improve the quality of life of all citizens and to free the potential of each person as envisaged in the preamble of our Constitution has been renewed. We say this For it is important to underscore the importance of working together with no politicizing of service delivery, and to do so with speed in order to improve the quality of life of all our people. Secondly, we reaffirm that all municipalities remain a priority in meeting people's basic needs. Access to basic services such as water, sanitation, electricity, and refuse removal is what makes our living spaces livable. Municipalities are there to ensure that people's quality of life and living conditions are of the desired standard that safeguards and guarantees human dignity. Honorable Deputy Chair, our rapid response measures aim to address in good time any emergent challenges at municipal level to prevent the collapse of services to our people. We do so for we are mindful of prevalent institutional challenges faced by a number of municipalities. Some of the areas that require improvement are on leadership capacity, managerial capacity, technical and project execution, especially in infrastructure projects, as well as financial management skills to ensure sustainability of all our municipalities. Obviously, some of these challenges and weaknesses are well documented by the Auditor General as part of our financial and performance audit outcomes. For instance, in the report of municipal audit outcome presented in July 2021, the Auditor General confirms that the audit results under the outgoing administration are showing little signs of improvement from previous administration. The Department of Cooperative Governance has identified through the 2021 State of Local Government Report 64 municipalities as dysfunctional and needing urgent support. These high-risk municipalities, as characterized by, among others, infighting, poor weakness, weak decision collection, decision making, poor performance, lack of consequence management, poor collections of revenue, and poor response to service delivery complaints. Unfortunately, such failures have a ripple effect on finances of municipalities and inevitably the quality and speed of service delivery. Therefore, we should look into these performance challenges and provide targeted programs with a view of improving the performance of our municipalities. The Department of Cooperative Governance and National Treasury are working in collaboration with other sector departments, SALGA, provincial governments, municipalities in developing implementation plan to address the issues identified in the report. These plans will be implemented as soon as our respective councils are sworn into office in the coming days. One of the critical areas needing prioritization is the network infrastructure investment and maintenance, especially fixing the crumbled water and sanitation infrastructure. Dilapidated water infrastructure as well as poorly managed operation and maintenance of this infrastructure in small and major towns have resulted in the inadequate supply of quality water that impact on the life and dignity of our people. It is for this reason, Deputy Chair, that the Interministerial Committee on Water and Sanitation exists as an institutional coordination platform to respond to institutional weaknesses and challenges in the efficient and effective management and delivery of water services at local government level. As Parliament, we should prioritize support, improve and strengthen our oversight function on local government affairs, and work together in ensuring that municipalities have political stability, and focus on people-centered service delivery. Let us not let our people and our country down. Let us work together to restore their dignity. Thank you very much, Deputy Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. Honorable Moai, is there any follow-up question?
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair. The ANC joins the Deputy President in saluting millions of South Africans for participating in the recent local government elections, thus strengthening the democratic project in our country. We also want to thank you, Comrade Deputy President, for your response and for always responding promptly to confirm your availability to appear before the Council. The 2021 local government elections highlighted enormous work that we still have to do to ensure quality and dignified living conditions for our people. Deputy President, as one of the senior leaders who was in the forefront of mobilizing our people to participate in their numbers to vote, has your office developed a list of critical areas that will form part of your program to help change the state of some of the municipalities that you visited during the campaign, especially about poor infrastructure? Comrade Deputy President, we are aware that you have been driving some of the interventions to assist some of the struggling municipalities in the country, even before these local government elections. I thank you, Deputy Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Moai. Deputy President, you may respond.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair. Thanks to the follow-up question from the Chief Whip. Yes, we are going to focus our attention on mainly on the 64 municipalities as identified by court. Of course, that does not mean that would turn a blind eye to all the municipalities that are struggling. So we are going to utilize the district development model as a platform where national government and provincial government and the local government can meet and blend together. The situation where our people live is very dire. We saw sewer running in their streets. We saw taps that are dry. There's no water. There are no roads. So our people are yearning for services. Now, we are waiting for this municipal council to just confirm the leadership of these municipalities so that we can start hit the road running and attend to these ailing infrastructure that continues to disrupt services that are meant for our people. This we're going to do working together as the three spheres of government. Thank you very much, Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. Honorable Ryder, the next follow-up goes to you.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson. Thank you, Deputy President. Now, you've mentioned yourself, you've gone into some detail now about the failures in local government and the fact that councillors are not really doing what they're doing. In fact, many of them don't know what their job is. They think that all they should be required to do is to sit in council and yell agreed when their political bosses try and pass motions through council. But the Deputy Minister of Culture recently also feigned surprise when she found out that 62% of councillors don't know how to use a computer. Now, the fact is that communities elect their representative, they elect their councillors. And so using a computer should not be a prerequisite for office. the only prerequisite should be that the councillor is representative of their community. But during the term of office, and certainly nearing the end of the term of office, when the comment was made by the Deputy Minister, councillors should be sufficiently upskilled that they can do their jobs well. If this is not the responsibility of COGTA to facilitate, then I wonder what your Deputy Minister, and of course the Minister herself, have been doing in their offices for the past few years. Surely training and upskilling of councillors, which would help service delivery in local government, lies at the feet of the COGTA department. What consequences will there be? We all talk about consequence management, Deputy President. What consequences will there be now that the people of South Africa, by staying away from the elections held recently, have shown their disdain for the process? What consequences will there be for the Minister of COGTA for her failure to uplift the state of local government over the last 2.5 years that she's been in office?
Honorable Deputy President, over to you.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. And thanks to the question from Honorable Raider. Well, Honorable Raider, you're correct that it is not really the duty of a respective councillor to know how to use a computer before he or she can be a councillor. And the community would choose anyone according to them who's fit, who can lead them. Now, it is also the responsibility of the very same council to ensure that councillors that are working in that municipality are fully capacitated. Council should put aside money to empower their own. Yes, it is also the responsibility of a provincial government, the MEC for Finance and the MEC for COGTA, to also support these municipalities in their respective provinces. It is also, yes, the responsibility of our Minister of COGTA to also support, but that must start with the council itself. Remember, we've got 3 spheres of government. We can only come in where there was a request that was made to the provincial government and to the national government. But we're taking this comment very serious, because some of the failures that we've observed is due to the lack of necessary skills and capacity from these councillors to do their work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. The next will be Honorable Mokause.
Deputy Chair, I will take it on her behalf.
Can we please not can we have order in this house? Why is the table not informed that you are going to take the question now? Because I've got the latest just now from the secretary. I don't want chaos in the house. I just want us to respect one another. I think you were supposed to inform the table that the question will be taken by someone else. It is just common decency. And can we just follow that procedures? We will allow it for now, but I don't think if I sit here again, it will happen. Can you please continue? The problem is that as soon as you allow things, it becomes kind of a common cause, and it's not going to happen. Can we continue? No, but can we just respect one another? Order here. Continue, or you are not going to ask the question.
Oh, but
Learn to respect procedures. You may continue before I change my mind.
thank you, Deputy Chair. even though I don't see any chaos there, because we have a right to discuss amongst ourselves. Deputy President, year after year, the Auditor General published audit reports, like you mentioned, and we all know what the problem are, but there seems to be a little appetite to deal with the issues head on. Municipal officials and their political heads, they do as they please because there are no consequence management. What has the government done? If you can clarify there, what has the government done or is going to do in order to ensure that there is consequence management for those who repeatedly ignore the recommendation of the Auditor General? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair. Well, government has done a lot of things to try and intervene. Firstly, you'll be aware that as the National Council of Provinces, you also supported a number of interventions, Section 139A, 139B, 139C, taken by provinces, because all of us should concur that in that municipality, we need to intervene because services have collapsed. We've done so into a number of municipalities, but some did succeed, some did not. After lifting of the intervention, they relapsed. Well, we have noted that the main challenge that is affecting our municipalities is leadership. If there's constant quibbling and fighting at the leadership level, the mayor, the speaker, and the chief whip, these are the very important people that must run and see to it that the business of council is done in a manner that respects and honor the people that they've elected them. Now, most of the time that has been lacking, and a lot of leaders have been removed, some replaced at a political level. A number of administrators, municipal managers have been removed. The turnover of municipal managers in our municipalities, very high. Turnover of our mayors in our institutions, very high. This indicates that our local councils are not stable. So this time around, I agree also with the point made by Honorable Reda to say, we need to support, skill these people so that they can focus on their work and support them. Now that we've got this district development model, that will allow us to monitor exactly what these councils are doing on a daily basis. We think this platform will be very helpful. So we are going to develop plans at a district level. The plans will involve national government, provincial government, and that particular municipality, whether it's a district municipality, whether it's a local municipality. So all of us are supposed to account at that platform, whether you're a district, whether you're a local municipality, whether you're a province, whether you're a national department. So that all of us, if we've agreed to deliver certain services, we must do so without failure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. The next follow-up goes to Honorable De Bruin. The next follow-up goes to Honorable De Bruin. Honorable Makause, you are rising on. You are rising on.
I'm rising on a point of order, Deputy Chairperson.
And your order is?
Deputy Chairperson, it's only logical and making sense that when a province rises on a question, the next follow-up comes from the similar question, but on the opposition benches. You should be knowing that. So there was no need to be absolutely pumped up about the EFF mixing of names. Moletani comes from the Free State. I just needed to correct you, Deputy Chairperson. When you sit at that chair, you should be knowing the rules. Thank you,
Is
Deputy
there an order? Is there any order that you want to make? What is your order? Because I still didn't hear that order. Can we, yes, Honorable Moy, if
The questions are on the names of members of the House. And it is irrelevant, it's uncalled for, that attack to the Deputy Chairperson. The Deputy Chair understands the rules of the House. Thanks.
honorable members, may we continue? Honorable De Bruin, you make, the next follow-up is from you, and let me apologize to you for that disturbance. Continue.
No problem. Thank you, Deputy Chair. Deputy President, with a projected cash flow of about 50 billion rand for municipalities over the midterm or the medium term, it is inevitable to think that there will be much more failed municipalities where interventions will be needed. Have you extended the capacity of the intervention teams to compensate for this, and if so, to what extent? Thank you.
Honorable Deputy President, I hope you got the question.
I'm sorry, Deputy Chair, the sound was faltering a bit, so I could not get the question clear.
I also, I could really, we also couldn't hear. Honorable De Bruin, if you don't mind, can you just repeat the question, please?
Okay, surely. I was asking Deputy President, with a projected cash shortfall of 50 billion rand for municipalities over the medium term, it is inevitable that we will see more and more failed municipalities where interventions will be needed. Have you extended the capacity of intervention teams to compensate for this, and if so, to what extent? Thank you.
Did you get the question, Honorable Deputy President?
Yeah, I think I've heard the question about the 50 billion shortfall, money that is supposed to go to local government. Well, it's a situation that we're facing as a country that, given the current pandemic, the economy, we're supposed to spend what we have. But we think the district development platform will be able to help us to combine the resources that we have as government. For instance, if the Department of Water and Sanitation can work together with the province, the Department of Culture in a province, and work together with a municipality or a district, we can be able to deliver water to our people. Working together with the Department of Mineral and Energy, together with the Department of Culture in a province, we can be in a position to deliver electricity to our people. So this kind of a platform is fostering us to use our resources sparingly and in a purposeful manner. And we're able to measure the performance of the plans that we've put together, and we're able to monitor ourselves. Yes, the money that the shortfall, it's very dire, it's a huge amount, but I think working together can undermine the shortfall, and we can deliver services in a faster way. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. We will now go to question number 20. Honorable Deputy President, as asked by Honorable TJ Bratteseth.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. Following the July unrest and violence that led to more than 359 deaths, law enforcement agencies are still busy with investigations against all criminal acts and violence of looting that took place during that period. In line with the dictates of our constitutional democracy that subscribes to the rule of law and equality before the law for every citizen. Therefore, there is no justification to mention the names of those accused in this House, as it is a matter of public knowledge that some of those accused of inciting the unrest have already appeared in courts. In each of those cases where there is evidence of criminal conduct, such individuals will be prosecuted in accordance with the laws of our country. We are pleased that the affected provinces of KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng are starting to normalize, and business and logistic networks are back to full operations. People's security and livelihoods have been restored in the main. As for what measures has government taken to ensure the security of the country and its people, the President has appointed a panel of experts to conduct a thorough assessment of the country's response to deal with such incidences in future. Upon the conclusion of this work, this panel, Parliament will have the opportunity to engage with the findings and recommendations thereof. In the final analysis, the events and subsequent aftermath of the July unrest is a stark reminder that the project of building and consolidating a democratic society that is inclusive and reflective of the aspirations of our people as contained in our Constitution is still far from being over. We'd like to acknowledge the support of all partners in finding practical solutions to the problems on the ground and who have supported efforts to restore calm in various affected areas during the post the unrest period. The extent of poverty and inequality in our country, especially in the affected communities of Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal, suggests that we must work together and harder across political divide to deepen anti-poverty programs in order to ensure that we achieve an inclusive growth as we enhance social cohesion. Public sentiments to the possibility of a better South Africa should be constantly kept alive through concrete improvement to the socio-economic conditions of our people. Doing so as a country, it's in our collective interest. For as long as the poor feel that the system is leaving them behind and is benefiting only a few people, we run a risk of this section of our people opting out of the democratic process. Therefore, it is incumbent upon all of us to find shared solutions to ensure that such incidences never repeat themselves. Thanks, Honorable Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. Honorable Bratteseth, is there a follow-up question?
There is indeed a follow-up question. Thank you, Deputy Chair. Deputy President, I must take issue with you. If you were to visit Durban, you would know that there are many, many, many businesses, especially in the Springfield Industrial Park, that are still not open. perhaps you should come and do an oversight visit sometime. Mr. Deputy President, your attempted obfuscation today lays bare the reality that your government will not act against those in the golden circle of influence. We all know what the unrest was about. We all know that it was geared to liberate former President Jacob Zuma from prison. We all saw the Zuma children on social media calling for this, calling for the unrest, calling for all the problems. And today, you cannot give us one name. The people of South Africa are not fools, Deputy President. The people of South Africa demand answers. When will you and your government put South Africa first and the ANC and its cronies a distant second? I thank you, Deputy Chair.
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chairperson. From where I'm sitting, Honorable Deputy Chairperson, more than 18 people have been arrested. And that process, like I've said, is currently before the courts of our country. Now, let's leave that. Now, if by any chance we have got some information that can help our police, can help our justice system, we should step forward and give that information, because we want to restore order in our country, and we want those who are involved to finally be accountable. So we know where to go. And I'll encourage our people to report such cases to our law enforcement agencies. I also take note that as much as we say the situation is back to normal, we understand that there are businesses that have put application to SASRIA for support. The Department of Trade and Industry and Competition. Now, a lot of work is being done to support small businesses by the Department of Small Business. So all the interventions are starting to take root. Yes, it will take time to restore some of the businesses that were destroyed, that were banned. But as we can see now, our national roads are all open, trucks are moving in, they're carrying some logistical items. So life is beginning to take root again. This we must encourage, and we must encourage the donation by good Samaritans that came into the space to help our people in the time of need. So the situation will improve, but let's wait for the report so that as a country, as these houses, we can discuss and make recommendations from, to the president in terms of how best we think such situations can be avoided in future. So thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. The next follow-up will be from Honorable Mteto.
Ngiyabonga Mongameli, sekela Mongameli we-South Africa. Ngibonga nokuthi nje uvuma ukusho ukuthi ama-systems ethu yiwo lawa lenza isimo sibe nzima. Bese senza ukuthi noma ngayiliphi ilunga lomphakathi lizithole seliyi-victim yebantu labalwisana ne-state, baze balwisane ne-democratic yethu. Ngala ma-system labangawaboni ukuthi asebenza kanjani and asebenza kancane. Mongameli umbuzo wami ke usekuthenini to what extent is the social relief grant is assisting government to respond to the immediately relief in addressing hunger, poverty in our community, especially given the ravaging impact of COVID-19. Sibonge nokuthi lapha KZN ko Phoenix ekhona ne-commission nelwisana nalento bokhuluma ngayo kuyinamhlanje. Siye nalapha eSpringfield akhuluma khona uMnumzane Raketberg kukhona lese sikubona kwenzeka kusukela manje ukukhombisa ukuthi kuyasilungisa lesa simo. Ngiyabonga Mongameli.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mtetwa. Honorable Deputy President, I'm sure you got the question.
Yes, thanks, Honorable Deputy Chairperson. Well, right from the onset, I must say that the 350 rand, we know very well that is far from addressing the needs of our people. Now, if you give a family the 350 rands, that family will still remain below the poverty line. But we are of the view that at least you will have provided a relief. We are providing this relief because we're quite aware of the dire situation our people are facing on a daily basis. We're quite aware of the high number of unemployment in our country because of a number of factors that are caused by the challenges that we are facing. In the main, COVID-19. A lot of companies have closed. You know very well. Now, it will take a collective effort to get the economy back on track. This is what the President said when he presented the recovery plan. The recovery plan is constantly disrupted by these very pandemics that are affecting the country, in the main COVID-19. And we've lost a lot as a country in terms of livelihoods, in terms of life. So we should shoulder on, but ensure that our people should not die of hunger. So that is the impression and our thinking about this 350. It is not adequate, but it goes a long way to assist our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. Honorable Ntube, you will be asking on behalf of Honorable Ngwezi.
No, thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chairperson of the Council, the Chief Whip, and Honorable Deputy President. The looting and destruction in KZN exposed cracks in social cohesion and the point to a bigger problem concerning unity of South Africa. Honorable Deputy President, the state is a permanent entity and the ANC contests power so that it can capture a state to advance its policies to change the livelihoods of our people. We want to check with you, Honorable Deputy President, what steps are you taking to ensure that in future differences in diversity will not be exploited in a similar manner, and how will you build a peace among the affected communities? And lastly, how will you measure the success of these steps? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Ntube. Honorable Deputy.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chairperson, and thanks for the question. From the youngest in our council. Well, the challenge before us demands a reaction from all South Africans. The project of building an inclusive society, a democratic society, it can't be relegated to the ruling party, the ANC, as government. This project should be pursued by all South Africans without failure. Why? Because the issues that seeks to threaten South Africa, issues like gender-based violence, it's an issue that all of us must stand up and fight it, because if we don't, this is going to destroy the very essence of our democratic project. Issues like racism. Racism is a cancer that must be destroyed because it divides and undermines our democratic project. So, as these institutions of Parliament should be in the forefront to drive social cohesion, deal with gender-based violence wherever it rears its ugly head, deal with racism, mind our language in these corridors of Parliament, because we are leaders of the people, we must lead by example. It can't be relegated to a government department, government institutions. Yes, I agree that government institutions carry a lot of responsibility, but equally so, our people must also play their part. One other thing that can undermine our democratic project is poverty. Poverty knows no line, knows no color. Poverty affects people across the spectrum. It is our responsibility as a nation to fight poverty and uplift those that are at the lower rung of our society. If we don't do so, those people who are poor, who are hungry, they will get disinterested to the democratic project. Probably, I'm not saying that it's a fact. Probably that is why some people are starting to stay out of the voting process. Because the voting process supports our democratic project. If people are starting to stay away from the voting process, that means they don't see the benefit or the fruits of being a voter, constantly voting in every 5 years. Now we must encourage our people to stand up and build this democratic process for the sake of all of us. Social cohesion, it's our responsibility. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. The last follow-up on question 20 will be Honorable S.A. Lutuli.
Ngibonge Sekela Hlalo. Sekela Mongameli, okwenzeke kwaZulu Natal kanye nase-Gauteng was racial profiling of Black people by both racist and the state. Ubandlululo lubonakala luyinto esijwayelekile lapha eNingizimu Afrika yize noma sithi sathola inkululeko ngonyaka ka1994. Umbuzo wami Sekela Mongameli uthi awucabangi ukuthi lesimemezelo esenziwe uMongameli uRamaphosa sokuthi kusazozilelwa lo owayengumbulali engumhlukumezi futhi ehlukumeza abantu abamnyama uDe Klerk kufana nokuvuvuzela usawoti kanye nespirit emanxebeni asavuza igazi kubantu baseNingizimu Afrika. Ngiyabonga.
Thank you, Honorable Julie. Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chairperson, and thanks to the question. To try and respond to the question, well, it's not about the president, it's not about former President F.W. de Klerk, it's about us, it's about our country and where we come from. We are coming from those painful days. It was very difficult to emerge out of that pain. Well, if we can go back, all of us have got stories to tell. Painful stories that can discourage us from going forward. We might tear ourselves apart. We might be angry, but we've got a duty to restore peace, to restore justice and democracy in this country. So my appeal is that reconciliation is necessary. From a country like ours. We're coming from a divided past. We've lost too many people. Some we don't know where they've been buried. They were missing in action. Some families are not able to find closure. But we've got an obligation to take a step forward and move on. I understand the pain that you're having, Honorable Member. But where you are now a leader that must lead this country out of that pain. There are too many people that are feeling this pain, but you must give them the assurance that tomorrow will be better. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. We will now proceed to question number 21 as asked by Honorable Matibe, and Honorable Ndongeni will represent Honorable Matibe in this instance. Over to you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. At the presidential level, we have two coordinating structures established by the President to address prevailing challenges within Eskom and other state-owned companies. The first is the Eskom Political Task Team chaired by the Deputy President, which continues to provide political leadership and support to ensure that Eskom is able to meet its obligation of providing electricity, and that Eskom implements a credible and a transparent national maintenance program to ensure that power generation plants operate at optimal levels to reduce negative impact of electricity supply. The second coordinating structure is the Presidential State-Owned Enterprise Council, established to reposition and strengthen the governing framework of state-owned companies, as well as to address their liquidity challenges, including implementing turnaround strategies. Whereas the Eskom Political Task Team serves as an institutional coordinating platform that brings together key players within government to provide leadership and technical assistance towards the resolution of challenges facing ESCOM. The Presidential State-Owned Enterprises Council focuses on prioritization of critical state-owned companies that have got a greater impact on our economy. In the main, the Presidential State-Owned Enterprise Council identifies specific intervention to stabilize and strengthen our state-owned enterprises, financial and operational performance, reduce reliance on the fiscus, and ensure that they repurposed to align with the national priorities. Both these structures are working towards assisting ESCOM to develop decisive interventions to address their poorly performing generation business and other pressing and persisting challenges. We must stress that the challenges at ESCOM has not been with the quality of advice or plans, but rather the resources, services, and funding required to implement some of the interventions on power generation. It is therefore our view that an additional panel of experts will not improve the situation, and we remain open to specific ideas that can contribute to further improvements. Equally, the board of ESCOM has been urged to review existing weaknesses that continue to affect the performance of the utility and ensure that we resolve operational challenges. The management of the utility is also doing its best to focus on intensive maintenance and management of the aging power generation fleet to avoid breakages that lead to collapse in generation and ultimately power outages. As government, we are cognizant of the impact of and the inconvenience of inadequate electricity supply on our people's daily lives and its devastation to the country's economic growth. Collectively, this undermines development and delivery of critical services on a predictable basis across society. Honorable members should be rest assured that measures are being undertaken to ensure that the negative impact of load shedding is minimized in order to avoid the total collapse of energy-intensive economic sectors such as mining and manufacturing. Within the framework of an integrated resource plan, alternative energy generation measures are also being explored and implemented to augment electricity supply and improve the stability of the grid upon their completion. The Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy recently announced the preferred bidders for the Renewable Energy Independent Power Producers Procurement Program, BID Window 5. The 25 projects in this latest round of independent power producers procure will eventually add the much needed 2,500 megawatts of capacity of renewable energy to the South African grid. To resolve the current energy supply challenges, it is clear that ESCOM's medium to long-term focus should be on investment in new generation capacity, as the current fleet of power stations has become old, unpredictable, and costly to maintain. Part of this will also entail the implementation of just energy transition plans that will ensure that some of this infrastructure is repurposed for renewable energy generation option. As to whether government has considered moving ESCOM to the Department of Public Enterprise, to the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy, Discussions are underway as part of a broader government effort to improve the management of our parastatals. The reorganizations, once finalized, once finally decided, will better align companies such as Eskom on their mandate. The Presidential State-Owned Enterprise Council will advise government on an appropriate shareholder models and repositioning of the state-owned companies as effective instruments of economic transformation and development. In this regard, we should await the finalization of the Presidential State-Owned Enterprise Council's work for further guidance. As government, we continue to engage with key stakeholders to address any implementation bottlenecks and challenges in our efforts to provide stable energy, which will stimulate sustainable economic growth. Private sector experts are also invited to share expertise and experience across a number of key performance areas that the Eskom political task team is seized with. Thank you very much, Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. Honorable Ndongeni, you may ask your follow-up.
Enkosi Sekela Sihlalo. Ndiyabulela Sekela Mongameli obekekileyo ngenkcazelo othe wasinika yona. Kwenzela into yomna sihlale sisazi uba kwenzeka ntoni na. Kodwa ndinombuzo nje. Nanku umbuzo wam Mongameli. Has the Presidential State-Owned Enterprises Council put forward immediately and long-term plans to address Eskom debt, which is estimated to be almost 400 billion or $28 billion, which is hampering its plan to ensure transition to renewable energy? And to what extent is debt impacting on Eskom's generation capacity program? Diabulela Sihlalo.
Thank you, Honorable Ndongeni. Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. Well, the Presidential State-Owned Enterprises, with all the work streams that are reporting to this council, dealing with different aspects of the problems that are confronting state-owned companies. For instance, there's one work stream that looks at the measure of some of the state-owned enterprises so that we are effective, we eliminate duplication. There's another one that is looking at the financial viability of such state-owned enterprises. And we expect that the final report that will be presented to the President will be coming with recommendations that talks to all these issues, but in the main, the financial standing and proposed support in the main to parastatals like Eskom. Eskom is in a dire financial situation that is not very easy to resolve. We're looking at a strategic partner that will come with the necessary expertise and skills that can complement Eskom and ease the financial burden. But we will cross the river when we are there. Currently, we're looking at this additional generation capacity as approved by the Department of Mineral and Energy. Some have started to connect to the grid, but the energy that has been, the generation that has been connected to the grid is not enough to offset the shortage. That is why you see some load shedding there and there. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President, Honorable De Bruin.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. I hope I'm more audible this time around. Deputy President, with regard to the generation capacity issues at ESCOM, we all know that thousands of skilled workers were lost at ESCOM over the past 2 decades. So are there efficient skills development at ESCOM to ensure that there's enough qualified and skilled staff for the purposes of generation? And with the load shedding being implemented on a regular basis, are there any plans in place to ensure that renewable energy do not go to waste during load shedding intervals in the interest of constant and reliable energy supply? Thank you.
Honorable Deputy President, did you get the question?
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. Yes, the shortage of our electricity, our generation capacity could be attributed to a lot of factors. Firstly, we are running old power plants. So the energy availability factor is no longer reliable. Today, they can tell you that we've got this amount of energy available, but tomorrow the situation has changed because we've got aging infrastructure. That becomes a problem for the management of ESCOM because the number of unplanned outages, they become now more than the number of planned outages. That disrupts the plan that ESCOM is following. That is why from time to time, they must go for load shedding because of unplanned disruptions in their plans. So we cannot undermine the fact that these plants are very old and somewhere they need to be replaced. And to replace these plants, ESCOM must find money. And that is one reliable option that ESCOM must do. ESCOM must replace some of these aging power plants, which are becoming very expensive to maintain. They are very unreliable. Now, secondly, yes, the amount of energy that we're getting from the independent power producers is helpful, but it's not enough. Some of the energy that we're getting from solar energy. You'll understand that solar energy is only available during the day, not unless we have got a storage capacity that you can store and utilize that energy during the evening. But as we speak, that energy is available during the day and it's fluctuating. When it's cloudy, you're not getting the desired amount of energy. So yes, it's augmenting to the problem, but it cannot fully resolve our problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. Honorable Ms. Brenda Matebula.
Nakensa Shanda Sha Mutsamashtul. Shanda Sha President, the ESCOM CEO just recently characterized ESCOM as a dead horse, intimating that it cannot be safe and that the country must depend on independent power producers. Does government share the view of the ESCOM CEO? If not, do you still have confidence in his leadership of the entity if he himself claims that ESCOM cannot be safe? Thank
you very much, Honorable Matebula. Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chair. If the member wants my my opinion as an individual, as someone who's sitting with these people in meetings and listen to all problems and follow-ups, I can tell you, honorable members, that in the person of the CEO, you've got a very good manager there. But remember, you've brought this manager into something that is ailing, something that is unstable, something that is collapsing. And for the very fact that, yes, we've got load shedding, but he still keeps the lights on and is trying very hard to maintain, I think we should give praise where it deserves. I think we must commend him for the work done. However, as a country, we're saying we cannot live in this situation forever. Something drastic must be done. Now, what must be done? ESCOM should be assisted to find a partner so that they can have the available, resources to add to their power generation. That is, put new power stations. If they can put more, 3 or 4 power stations, that can stabilize our problem once and for all. Independent power producers, yes, are very helpful, but the amount of energy that they are bringing into the grid is not stable. It fluctuates. If it's about wind, the wind will fluctuate. There are moments where there's wind blowing very high, and then you'll get energy. When the wind slows down, you get very little energy. When there's a sun, you get energy. When there's very little sun, cloudy day, the amount of energy that you're making is very low. Yes, renewable energy is the way, and I think they will improve along the way, and will improve even the storage of that energy so that we can utilize it. But the current challenge that we have is now, how do we get rid of load shedding? The only way to get rid of load shedding as we speak now, yes, maybe tomorrow, when we reconnect the power, the generation that we've procured from independent power producers, probably it will help. But today, we need to rely on our power stations. Now, message to ESCOM is that try and improve your planned maintenance. Try and manage your plan, minimize unplanned outages. That is the only plan that we can stick to, but in the meantime, we must look for ways of building new power stations so that that can secure the country, the future of our economy, if we've got reliable energy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. Honorable Nana.
Yep.
Yes, Honorable Makause.
I'm rising on a point of order, Deputy Chairperson. The Deputy President did not answer the question Honorable Matebula asked. Is ESCOM a dead horse? Do you agree, Deputy President, that ESCOM is a dead horse? We don't want to hear anything about your meetings, private meetings with the wind and everything. Do you agree that ESCOM is a dead horse? We are currently experiencing load shedding throughout South Africa. Do you agree?
The question has been asked. The question has been asked, and there is no point of order, because the question in the end that I heard is this person, in your view, still the right person? That was the question after everything was said and done. Can we now move on, and we will request Honorable Nana to ask your follow-up question.
I'm worried, Deputy Chairperson, we're wasting time, and yet, we are on load shedding stage 2. I mean, this house can quickly go.
Honorable Nana, you've got 2 minutes.
Deputy President, I would like to quote President Ramaphosa in his State of the Nation address of 2019. And I quote, "As we address the challenges that face ESCOM, we also need to safeguard our national fiscus, achieve a positive impact on our sovereign credit rating, and pay attention to the rights and obligations of ESCOM's funders." ESCOM has come up with a 9-point turnaround plan, which we support and want to see implemented. To bring credibility to the turnaround and to the position South Africa's power sector for the future, we shall immediately embark on a process of establishing 3 separate entities, which is generation, transmission, and distribution under ESCOM. Now, Mr. Deputy President, I am so pleased that we have considered that we actually don't need more task teams and more experts and panels. But I would want to put it to you that we equally don't need more work streams. The plan does exist, Mr. Deputy President, and has been agreed to by the President, and I presume by his cabinet as well in 2019. The only possible follow-up, Mr. DP, is you as a leader of government business, why have you not ensured the implementation of the President's commitment to the people of South Africa? Why has ESCOM not restructured? Or does your government have a different definition to the word immediately? Thank you.
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chairperson. Well, according to the turnaround plan, the unbundling of ESCOM into 3 business entities, that is underway, and there's very good progress. I can say with transmission, we are starting to see it becoming slowly a standalone entity. Now, if required, we'll be able to give progress report in terms of all the areas that have been identified in the turnaround plan, eliminating corruption, bringing the necessary skills, ensuring that we increase maintenance. There are a number of issues in the turnaround. Now, I can tell you that where we're standing, all people that were found on the wrong side in ESCOM have been brought to book, and some cases are continuing. Some skills that in the past left ESCOM, some of the skills are being replaced. We're getting people. I cannot say that we've got all the skills that we require, but I can say there is an effort that way of getting the necessary skills to run our power stations. Now, the part that we are struggling with is to get our maintenance. Our maintenance obviously is linked with the availability of resources and the time it takes to procure. ESCOM is complaining about the turnaround time, that it takes long to order a spare part because of the procurement system. That is an issue that we requested that Treasury must look at, so that in a situation of an emergency procurement measures should kick in. ESCOM should be allowed to buy parts to fix our plants, in a very quick way. So there are a number of improvements that we've noticed in terms of our turnaround plan. But the problem is that we've got these power stations that are old. You fix them today, you do maintenance, the planned maintenance, that should last you for a certain time period, but it doesn't. It breaks again. So we are dealing with aging infrastructure that we cannot turn them in a minute to be new plants. These plants are old. South Africans should understand that almost half of the plants are old. There are some plants that are performing very well. We're trying to get Kusile and Medupi to perform at their utmost capacity. And that will come. One day, these power stations, with their design effects, will be corrected and they will give us the necessary amount of energy. So Eskom is not a dead horse. Eskom is alive. That's why we've got energy. We're shedding energy because of the unplanned breakages in Eskom. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. We will now allow you to respond to question number 22 as asked by Honorable Ngwezi. And I want to repeat that Honorable Ntube will stand in for Honorable Ngwezi. Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. As already indicated in our first question, as government, we have taken stock of the challenges that are continuously confronting our municipalities. To this end, the Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs in July this year tabled a report on the state of local government election before Cabinet, as well as the Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. The report contained governance and political oversight as the primary cause underpinning the increase in the number of dysfunctional municipalities. In the main, these challenges relate to inefficient financial management and governance systems, poor delivery of basic services like water and sanitation, electricity, equitable provision of sustainable human settlement, and crumbling and dilapidated infrastructure. As part of focused government intervention, the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, in collaboration with the provinces, SALGA and National Treasury, has developed a framework to guide the process of developing, implementing, and monitoring the municipal support and intervention plans in the 64 municipalities that were identified as dysfunctional. It is envisaged that as commitments made in these plans are being implemented, service delivery will improve, thereby reducing the prospects of and frequency of service delivery protests. We remain optimistic that the coming local government Lekgotla, which will be attended by the incoming local government leadership, will come up with innovative solutions to implement municipal support and intervention plans. We must stress that whilst the delivery of basic services remains the competence of local government, the reality of coalitions that will emerge out of these elections, especially in hung municipalities, will necessitate that where applicable, national and provincial governments guide and intercede where the availability and quality of services is faltering due to lack of capacity. As for low voter turnout, we are not in possession of any empirical administration has resulted in low voter turnout during these elections. In fact, there are many variables, including the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and the related risk adjustment restrictions. This is a trend elsewhere in the world where elections were conducted under similar conditions. The fact that some people did participate, it is illustrations of their commitment to democracy. This is what we must build on. Having said that, it is important to point that as we are campaigning for our parties, some of the criticism leveled upon us as leaders is of our own making. We get preoccupied by our own responsibilities of office as members of parliament, members of the executive, as mayors and councillors, thus spending less time talking to our people and responding to their needs. Leaders must listen to the people and respond to the issues they raise that affect them at a community level. In our view, all leaders must make themselves available to be at service of our people and continue to work, unite our communities. People are looking for a collaborative approach by political parties that place their needs at the center as opposed to narrow political party agendas. To improve the situation, the arrogance of leadership must give way to humility. We continue to work hard to restore the confidence of the people by implementing municipal intervention that government has put in place. Thank you very much.
Now, the follow-up question is Honorable Nzube.
Thank you very much, the presiding officer, Honorable Deputy President of the Republic of South Africa. Indeed, Deputy President, your analysis are correct that the reason for a low voter turnout is of a result of a lack of service delivery and poverty that we find ourselves in. As the youth of South Africa, Honorable Deputy President, we are calling upon you and the presidency and the cabinet to declare the state of emergency on poverty and youth unemployment. Honorable Deputy President, the public was informed on 5 August 2021 that an independent panel will be set up by the President to review the response of the government during the civil unrest and the looting. What is the latest update on the work of this panel since the terms of reference for its work was published in September? And what are the actions of government so far? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Nzube. Deputy President.
Thank you, Chair. Well, on the panel that has been instituted by the President, like I said in the earlier question, that the panel is working and we're waiting for their report. And finally, the report will be shared with yourself. We are not ruling out a number of factors that may come out of the report, but probably it's best not to preempt the report. Of course, service delivery is one of the problems that makes a community, a society angry. Lack of water, lack of proper sanitation can anger our people. But in the main, also poverty accounts to a lot of distress our communities are going through. So like I'm saying, there are a number of reasons that can cause a protest. There are a number of reasons that can cause people to stay away from an election, which to me, that becomes a threat because it's an indication that people are starting to opt out of a democratic process. And finally, they are now becoming a threat to that project. But I'm sure when we get the report, we'll be able to discuss this report and the recommendations to that report for the presidents to implement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. Now it's Honorable Okam.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. Honorable Deputy President, you are aware that we recently had the lowest voter turnout in the history of elections in South Africa. Now, whether you agree with that or not, one of the main reasons cited for this poor voter turnout is the fact that South Africans are feeling disillusioned with the dismal state of service delivery by all spheres of government in South Africa. We further know that some of the main reasons for the extremely poor levels of service delivery by the various ANC governments are firstly cadre deployment, which led to the appointment of a large number of incompetent officials who does not have the expertise to exercise the duties in pursuit of service delivery. And secondly, it is the endemic corruption which has become synonymous with the various ANC governments. Honorable Deputy President, do you therefore agree that in order for government to curb this low voter turnout and to improve its responsibility of service delivery and the eradication of corruption, it is absolutely vital that the policy of cadre deployment must immediately be replaced by a system where only fit for purpose, competent officials are appointed? If not, why not? And if so, what are the relevant steps that will be taken to ensure the eradication of cadre deployment and the appointment of competent officials, which every voter in South Africa requires? Thank you, Honourable Deputy Chair.
Okay, Dipin.
Thank you. Thank you very much, House Chair. Well, in response to the question, I think the honourable member is not really against cadre deployment, but is suggesting that cadre deployment must produce the right people for the positions. That means we need to deploy skilled people. As long as your deployment policy can deploy the right people, I don't think that we'll be having a problem. The complaint is that if this deployment policy is not deploying the right people, the complaint put forward is justified. And I take it, but I'm not quite sure that we should be conclusive about the reasons of this low voter turnout. There could be many reasons. For instance, yes, I'm not ruling out that people are frustrated about basic service delivery, water and that and that. Yes, I accept that. But as I was campaigning, I met a group of young people that said, we're not working. We don't see the reason to go and vote. So for them, as young people, employment and unemployment is a problem. That is their reason. So there could be a number of people that have not voted because of various reasons that affect them directly. So we hope to learn from this report that we're going to get from the experts. But yes, as leaders in this house, we know that poverty, hunger, unemployment, poor service delivery, poor leadership, you can count all these factors. Probably they account for this low voter turnout. But it's a question that is before us now, triggered by the unrest and the disruptions in the two provinces. That then allows the country to drill deeper into the causes of this unrest. And in the main, and the outcome of the elections, we must find reasons why our people are opting out of this democratic project. Thank you very much.
Thank you, DP. Now it's Honorable Arnold.
Thank you, House Chairperson. Deputy President, there is a growing perception that those in political office serve only their interest and the interest of those who fund them. Ordinary people therefore feel excluded. People see the business people who funded President Ramaphosa to win the ANC conference getting fat business deals, which confirms the view that government leaders only serve their own interests. My question to you, how destructive is the involvement of business leaders in political contest? And do you not think that this is a danger to our democracy?
Yes. DP.
Thank you very much, House Chair. The very essence of being a public representative, you are basically a servant of the people. That means you must serve the people without really serving your interests. I agree with the member, and that cuts across the political divide. All leaders must serve the people. The experience that I have gone through this past election, public representatives were missing in action. Services were not delivered and people were left low. I have seen that in a number of wards where I went to campaign. Yes, you're correct. Probably we must ask ourselves as public representatives, whether are we still relevant or are we drifting away from the core of serving the people? Well, business people, the private sector should work together with government because we share the very same space. The public sector and the private sector must work together to grow the economy of the country. But constantly, we are not happy about some of the tendencies that are developing where business people seek to corrupt public representatives and vice versa. That must be condemned. And if there's evidence to that regard, as honorable members, we can report that to the nearest institution. We have got institutions. South Africa, it's a very stable democracy with stable institutions. Of course, some from time to time, these institutions are being undermined, but these institutions are there and we must protect them. So it's one thing to talk about a crime and not report the crime. So I'll encourage members, where we think things are not going very well, let's report that crime, so that public representatives do what they are elected for, to be servants of our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. We will now call on Honorable Mtetwa to stand in for Honorable Dodovo.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, for allowing me to take this question on behalf of Comrade Dodovo. Deputy President of the country, to what extent is the increase in the number of hanging municipalities since the 2021 local government election compounding government plan to ensure stable leadership to drive municipal support intervention plan, especially President, the implementation of effective governance system and solution thereof? I thank you, Deputy President.
Over to you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. Well, the number of ailing municipalities from the previous report as presented by the Minister of Cocktail indicated that there are these 64 municipalities that are dysfunctional, that needs attention like yesterday. And we've got more than 163 municipalities that are in a dire state of affairs. That also require additional support. So what I can say, Honorable Member, is that the local governments fear it's in dire stress. You look at the collapse of services and the leadership that is there. So it means that all of us, national government, provincial governments, must really take their support so that as we improve these local municipalities and support them, we are indirectly improving service delivery that will multiply to our people. Now, a number of municipalities are under interventions. We are prepared to step up our support to ensure that these municipalities serve the people. Our worrying point, though, is the outcome of our elections that is presenting 60 or more hung municipalities, which will depend entirely on the maturity of leaders to form these coalition governments in the interest of the people so that they can continue to deliver services. And we are approaching the last days of these negotiations, and leaders must emerge with agreements that will be able to take the work of local government forward. So we want to call upon these leaders of our different parties that are discussing about these coalitions, that they must put the interests of our people first as they discuss. It's not about them wanting that position and that position, but at the end of the day, it's about our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President. We will now continue and come to question number 23 as asked by Honorable H.S. Bosov, and we will now give over to the Deputy President to respond to the question.
Thanks once more, Deputy Chair. The President first presented the Economic Reconstruction and Recovery Plan to a joint sitting of Parliament in October 2020. Since then, government has achieved substantially in supporting township and rural economies. We wish to appraise the honorable member that in February 2020, Cabinet approved Township and Rural Entrepreneurship Program development. This fund was developed as a response to the urgency of the need to roll out appropriate support to small businesses in township and in our rural areas. Through the program, qualifying small enterprises are provided with financial and non-financial support to empower them to run their businesses in a profitable manner, and also to help them to acquire business equipment, tools, machinery, with a view to increase their capacity to access economic opportunities and further enhance their competitiveness. As of the 31st of October 2021, 289 products manufactured by small, medium, and macro enterprises have been placed on the shelves of major retailers and wholesalers in the country as part of the localization program. These products were manufactured by a total of 45 small businesses, creating over 700 jobs. It is the government's vision that through this program, more products will be locally produced by small businesses for supply to local and global markets and create more job opportunities. At the same time, we need to encourage our public to buy goods produced locally, as this will increase the sustainability and the competitiveness of these businesses that are owned by SMMEs. In addition to the above initiative, the Department of Small Business Development, through its entity CEDA, has established 54 branches through a district-based development approach to align support to the district economic sectors, thus bringing services closer to the people. It has, however, been realized that there are still a number of areas where entrepreneurs are still traveling longer distances to access these services, which is why CEDA is in a process of establishing additional service points. This includes considering alternative mechanisms such as mobile offices to increase access. Furthermore, the department is establishing more incubation centers and digital hubs across the country to add to the 110 currently existing to supporting township and rural-based enterprises. We are pleased that most provinces have begun to practically implement economic empowerment models to boost township and rural economies. Our view is that at national level, there is a demonstrable willingness to consolidate and upscale this initiative. We therefore remain committed to ensure that local economic development initiatives are realized and that they achieve the empowerment of ordinary people in areas where they live. We've always maintained that the critical pillar of our country's industrial policy is a structured focus on the development of new economic centers through our special economic zones and industrial parks that are geared towards attracting private sector investment to boost the growth and local economies, especially in our township and rural areas. This entails the revitalization of the existing industrial parks and sites that link small businesses, especially those owned by women and youth, the global economic value chains. To this end, the Department of Trade and Industry and Competition has critical infrastructure program that has, at the 31st of March 2020, supported 12 industrial parks with the amount of 690 million for phase 1 of this refurbishment. The focus of the initial phase of the revitalization program is on infrastructure provision of roads and security upgrades, installation of sewer networks, water and electricity infrastructure, and refurbishment of top structures. Investing in industrial parks will assist SMMEs located in township and rural areas to contribute to economic growth. Government has ensured that all SMMEs contracted in developing these industrial parks are located, which are at local level, must be coming from those areas where the industrial parks are. This is in realization that some of the key challenges in the township and rural economies that are faced by SMMEs in particular and entrepreneurs in general include, among others, lack of economic infrastructure, poor access to markets, restricted trading spaces, logistical constraints, and uneven provision of municipal services. Therefore, Honorable Deputy Chair, we are approaching this matter from a perspective that as things stand, township and rural economies are restricted from realizing their full potential by a variety and historical impediments. Revitalizing the rural and township economies therefore will require focus on the twin objectives of investing in economic infrastructure and investing in enterprise development. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. Honorable Boshoff, do you have a follow-up?
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair, and good afternoon, Deputy President. Deputy President, the fundamentals are absolutely clear. Under your watch, unfortunately, there has not been any significant improvement in township and rural economies. Every year we hear about the revitalization, but up until now, we have seen absolutely nothing happening in Mpumalanga, and you know that coming from that province. You have to admit the economy has contracted, the unemployment rate has increased, and no significant intervention other than a few grants to connected cronies have been made. Your reconstruction and recovery plan is exactly that, a plan, and will remain as such until you provide this country with energy security, which you haven't been able to do in the past 27 years. Deputy President, you have said in replies to the various questions that Eskom is in dire financial difficulties, and you have also said that you will cross the bridge. But please explain to us today how you're going to cross this bridge, because currently, small businesses cannot afford generators. It's just too expensive to keep the doors open. And without energy, they cannot trade. And therefore, my question to you, Deputy President, is I would like to know what happened to the $10 billion worth of investment from Saudi Arabia agreed in 2018 that was meant to revive the energy sector and aid small businesses and ordinary South Africans? And what are the direct benefits resulting from this investment? Thank you, Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Bosov. Honorable Deputy President, you may respond.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Let's welcome the question. Well, an investment that has been committed to the country from Saudi Arabia depends on the investors, the speed at which they really move, assisted by our institutions to really invest. But if the honorable member really wants to know progress on that specific investment, we can trace it and be able to give her feedback. And I understand why the honorable member is asking this question, because we're talking about economic recovery, and you are citing availability of energy as one impediment. You're correct. You're correct. But there are a number of impediments also that we're dealing with. I've said in my response that the Department of Trade and Industry and Competition is also assisting in the refurbishment of these industrial parks, as well as the special economic zone. The refurbishment deals with the infrastructure that is there, your sewer networks, your water networks, so that these zones can accommodate these small businesses, let alone the availability and inavailability of electricity. But again, the other impediment is the access to funding to these small, medium enterprises, which the Department of Small Business is attending to that. The Township and Rural Entrepreneurship Program, which has been given 2.9 billion. It's meant to assist and support SMMEs. And to date, we have supported almost 727 small, medium enterprises. And we have dispersed almost 212.6 million rand to these SMMEs. Yes, it's a small figure, and we have not gone very far. I've said in my response is that we're also thinking of a number of mechanisms to reach out to young people, women, where they live in the townships and in the rural areas. We're even thinking of mobile networks so that we can reach them. During these elections, we have met young people who are complaining that they want to start their own businesses, but they don't know what to do. And I'm sure starting these mobile networks will be an appropriate one. We'll encourage CEDA to do that so that we go closer to where people live if we want to bring this assistance. Yes, I agree, Honorable Member, that for now, business is not happy with the way energy is affecting their businesses in the country currently. And we really take the complaint very serious, because we know it's a serious inconvenience, because we want this economy to grow, and therefore all efforts are being made really to help ESCOM. And I'm sure as a country, finally, we will help ESCOM and we'll go through this challenge once and for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. Honorable SF Tutoy, your follow-up, please.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Deputy President, with reference to all the temporary jobs that were created through the Reconstruction and Recovery Plan, the EPWP and other similar employment initiatives, are there any measures in place to ensure that government gets value for money for employees being paid? Since many of these initiatives are handled as grants, money being paid to individuals that does not work, the image of yellow overalls under a tree during working hours is so ever familiar in South Africa. I think we owe it to taxpayers that they get their money's worth.
Thank you, Honorable Tutoy. Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thanks for the question by Honorable Member. Yes, not all this intervention, probably you can say we are not getting value for the money that we're spending. Yes, some of these interventions like your EPWP, where you'll find people standing under a tree, not supervised. This is one thing that we're attending to, so that people that, that have been employed, they must work. Sorry for that. People that are employed must work. But there are certain programs like your teacher assistant. Those programs are really helpful, and there's value for the money that were paid those assistant teachers that are assisting our schools. And we think we can even add more of those assistant teachers and some administrative posts at the school level. So yes, we are trying very hard to ensure that there's value for money in the stimulus package. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. Honorable Moshudi, you can take your follow-up.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair. Good afternoon, Deputy President. And let me thanks for your detailed response. My follow-up question, Deputy President, is to what extent is the township and the rural entrepreneurship program are championed by Department of Small Business Development, benefiting women and youth who continue to suffer the most of poverty, unemployment, and economic marginalization? And to what extent is government ensuring that while pushing a drive to ensure that more products are produced locally by small business, these initiatives are used to create more employment opportunities for women and youth? Thank you, Deputy Chair and Deputy President Kialeboha.
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chair. The amount of money that I've cited as a support for SMMEs, the majority of these SMMEs are led by young people and they are led by women. They are being supported. They are not just given the money and that's it. They are being assisted on a daily basis to manage the affairs of the business. They are being assisted to find markets for the products. I've spoken about the product that they produced, that it's in our shelves of the big retail stores and wholesalers. So yes, though we have not reached the desired number and we have not fully utilized the money that has been given us, but the 2.9 billion, it's a 3-year program. So this money is available for the entire MTF period. But for this year alone, I think we've dispersed 212 million rand to these enterprises that are mainly women and young people. We're still far from achieving the desired goals, and I think there's a need to press on and to become more and more available and closer to where these young people are living, where these women are living. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy President. Last follow-up on this one will be Honorable Mokause.
Thank you, Deputy Chairperson of the Council. Deputy President, you also chair the Interministerial Committee on Land Reform, which is supposed to make sure that there's acceleration on land reform programs in South Africa. Deputy President, we are almost in the middle of your term, and we haven't witnessed any of such programs championed by yourself. These programs are worth relating to the land ownership in South Africa. What new programs has this committee recommended to yourself to fast-track giving back the land to our people who need to use it for agricultural development? And if there are those programs, are they linked to any coordinated government support to emerging farmers? Thank you.
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chair. Yes, our land reform program is progressing very well, and probably we should give a report to honorable members that should be shared to all members of the council about our redistribution program and our restitution program. I think we've made some good progress in terms of restoring land back to the rightful owners. I can cite one or two examples: land that has been claimed by claimants that is in the hands of government. All government departments have released that land to the people. A report will be given that will give you that progress. Now, we've identified something more than 700 and something hectares that was supposed to be given to people, and we've made quite significant progress. Some glitches were met when we found people staying on that land, and we didn't just simply remove those people. We checked their status. If they qualify, the land is given to them. If they don't qualify, they are removed from the land, so that the land can be available for young people and women. So, honorable members, yes, we can give you progress on that score in terms of that IMC, the work that we've done. Now, in terms of integrating this program, in terms of funding, the land reform program has got its own support, which has just been approved, the kind of support that we're going to give our farmers at a district level through this district development model, which consists of a suite of interventions that will be given to a specific farmer at a district level.
that is intended to put an end to his illegitimate rulership over the children of God. They know more than, unfortunately, the children of God know about the great thing that is happening. Let me just give you the highlights. God, quite apart from the greatest move in the history of the earth that has already broken out, by the way, and the unstoppable revival of prayer he promised, that has already begun. I mean, from the 25th of March 20